Hello everyone, welcome to this channel Pharmafun4us, and I am Abidunisa Begum. I'll tell you more about myself in a few minutes. Before that, let me just discuss what are we going to do now. So as you can see here, the slide says it's introduction to CDM. What is CDM and why am I talking about it? So throughout this channel since I began, I was talking about clinical trials and how is the medicine made, how can you build your career in this and all that. But recently, I came across a very, what do you say, a very interesting course called as Clinical Data Management, which also includes pharmacovigilance, which also includes medical coding and clinical trials and clinical data management. So these are the four modules that I learned about. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do now. After I'm going to create four playlists, and on those playlists, I'll include first clinical data management, pharmacovigilance. I'll go for medical coding and clinical trials. So these are the four modules I'm going to cover in these four playlists, and I'm going to make sure that I cover all the concepts involved in this. Right? So if you have any doubts or if you think I am missing anything, make sure to put it as a comment and I will definitely get back to you with that. Right? So when you talk about pharma industry, these are the four things or these are the four courses that are actually going doing rounds these days. When you go across online, when you search for different courses that can actually help you build your career in pharmacy, these are some courses that you would come across, and I have taken it on me to give these courses for free, right? So you can go ahead and study about it and always ask me for any doubts that you have. So the first thing that I'm going to continue with is introduction to CDM. So that is clinical data management. What is clinical data management of that, right? So yeah, these videos will definitely help you crack your interviews as well. So do not worry about that. So the agenda of this session is I'm going to introduce you to clinical data management, its importance, objectives, and what is the process of the clinical data management. How does it work? Now, like I told you, I'm going to talk about me. My name is Abidunisa Begum. Done my post graduation in pharmacy. I have worked as clinical data manager and a data analyst before. Now I am a data scientist. In a completely new field, I'm working in a completely different environment, but then pharmacy is my route, right? So yeah. Now coming towards introduction to clinical data management, right? So clinical data managers, what do they do? So first, let's read the definition as it says. Clinical data management has always been known to be a primary part of clinical development team. Sometimes these operations lead the team. Okay, this was just the introduction, not the definition, but if I try to give you the definition, it is an essential role in the data collection phase of clinical trial or clinical research. So what are clinical trials, clinical research? If you do not know, I would suggest go and watch my previous videos. But for those of you who know, let's just revise it. So clinical trials are just the medicine preparation phase, if I try to tell you it in very layman's term, right? So that is what clinical trials are. So, and testing those medicines that are prepared on different, what do you say, on different subjects, right? So that is what clinical trial phase is. So the process where you collect and you manage your research data, collection and management of the research data. It is done in accordance to regulatory standards, so that you obtain quality information that is complete. Also remember that it has to be error free. The goal is to gather as much of data for analysis as possible, because you cannot just create medicines and uh, what do you say? You cannot just create medicines and give it to the patients, right? You need to test them, of course. That's how it goes. So that's what clinical management is all about: collecting, managing data, and collecting as much of data as possible. So the field of clinical data management has come about, due to demands from both pharmaceutical industry as well as the regulatory authority. Now, who are these regulatory authorities? For example, there is one um, FDA, US FDA, right? So regulatory authorities. Oh, sorry for the spelling. Okay, so pharmaceutical and regulatory authorities. So that is the reason why they have come into picture now. So as they try to fast track the development of pharmaceutical products, it definitely continues to accelerate. And regulatory entities have responded by requiring quality assurance standards to be met in collecting the data used in drug evaluation process. So two such standards that I was talking about, regulatory standards, or regulatory, we see these authorities who have laid some standards here. So when I talk about it, what is the authority that I'm talking about? Okay. The authority is CDISD. What do they stand for? Clinical Data Interchange Standard Consortium. So they particularly, they said these two standards are particularly valid for CDM. Now, what are those? First one, okay, these are very long names, so I'm just going to write the abbreviation, right? So SDTIMG, TMIG, I'm sorry. SDTIG, the abbreviation is, so this is for Study Data Tabulation Model Implementation Guide for Human Clinical Trials, right? So this is how it goes. And you also have Clinical Data Acquisition Standards Harmonization. So that would go for C dash CDASH, right? So these are the two standards. So the former is currently mandated for use by the US Food and Drug Administration. The latter created the standard format for collecting the data across studies so that data submissions can be more easily tracked and also reviewed. You also know that CDM they can be customized. CDM, when I'm saying CDM, it means clinical data acquisition. So they can be customized and maybe tailor made in the case of large multinational pharmaceutical companies, right? For example, you have Novartis, you have GSK, right? These are multinational pharmaceutical companies. They're looking for tools that address the needs of their specific companies. So there are a lot of open source tools that can, help you manage your clinical data. So they are called as CDMS, Clinical Data Management Systems. And open source tools you have TrailDB, you have OpenCDMS, you have Open Clinica, there are a lot of others available. There is something also called as PHOSCO. I'm not very sure of what these abbreviations stand for, but yeah, I know that these are some open clinical data management systems. Right? You might just want to go ahead and what do you say? Research upon them. And if you want me to make videos about each of them, I can do that. Also, you can put it in the comments if you want me to. But yes, these are some of the free open source freely available CDMs that are, effective as those who, these companies when no artists and all that, they create a customized clinical data management systems. So they would definitely pay to get it made, but the names that I gave you, these are some free clinical data management systems. So there are some set standard guides, the work of CDM professionals because the information is used in pharmaceutical industry to evaluate medicine, right? That definitely makes it really important. And the Code of Federal Regulations, CFR, we'll study about this also, remember. So the Code of Federal Regulations 21 CFR Part 11, this provides the compliance standards to which CDM systems must adhere to, right? So these are some important things that we need to know. Okay, before that, uh, uh, yeah, coming to the process of this, what does it take to become a clinical data manager? So, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, if you have heard about it, and there is also something called as ONET. Write down these terms and the terms that you see here, and if you do not understand anything, do let me know. We will talk about each of these in the further videos also. So, you can just take down these terms and study about it. right? So 85% of clinical data managers, they have a bachelor's degree. Of course, you have to do your bachelor's in pharmacy, right, to become a clinical data manager. Between 2018, now I'm talking this based on US market, to 2028, the BLS projects the job in this field will grow up to 11% nationally. I'm talking about US again, right? So which is much faster than the average for all occupations in the country. And it's also estimated that 5,300 new clinical data management positions will be needed nationwide. Now, this is something I'm giving you information from MHA Online. This is the statistics I got from them, right? And like I told you, 5,300 new clinical data management positions will be available nationwide. An average annual salary for this position will be $91,160. Again, from MHA Online, nothing, none of these are my statistics. But yeah, for you to know that it is important for you to learn clinical data management if you have done pharmacy and if you wish to do something in the field of data. And this is how the process works. You take the subject, you are the investigator. If there is an sorry, you are not the investigator. You are the clinical data manager. You work on the data provided by all of these people, from the investigator, from the monitor, from the statistician, from the central laboratory. You get all the data and then you pass it on to further units, right? So at the end, the regulatory authority, it gives you the permission to probably move ahead with the trial, or stop the trial, or yes, you can manufacture the medicine and all that. Yeah, a lot of other steps included, for which if you want you can go to the previous videos of mine and have a look at those to understand how are these medicines manufactured, right? So yeah, I think that's all I have to tell you about clinical data management. Say if you have any questions regarding any of the topics that we discussed, post it in the comment section and I will definitely respond to you. Thank you very much for watching this video patiently, and I'll see you in the next. Take care and happy.